Hey everyone, welcome back to the Big Planet Theory with me, Ben. Thank you so much for joining me. Now today's video is asking the question, why do people find vegans annoying? Because we're morally in a better place, because we're more compassionate, and because we don't live a life full of hypocrisy is the answer that springs to mind. However, let's take a step back and see if we can look at a more factual answer with less emotion. So let's look at veganism as a thing then. So it's a way of life that is characterised by somebody who doesn't eat any meat. However, veganism is actually a bit deeper than that, and the Vegan Society has their own definition, which goes like this. Veganism is a way of living which seeks to exclude, as far as is possible and practicable, all forms of exploitation of and cruelty to animals for food. Now, for the life of me, I can't think of any reason why anybody would find this annoying. I mean, what sort of a person would find this offensive or worthy of ridicule? I mean, it's hilarious that somebody would want to try and stop an animal from being exploited or from dying, isn't it? But from looking at social media, it seems that there's one major thing which seems to rile the anti-vegans up, and that's this. Now let's put this into perspective. When I first watched Sons of Anarchy on Netflix, I thought it was great. In fact, I thought it was amazing. It was the best programme I'd watched in a long time. And everyone I spoke to and all the people that I was talking to, I said to them, have you seen Sons of Anarchy? I've just seen a new programme. It's blown my mind. It's amazing. You need to watch it. And I kept on about it, weeks, months later. Have you seen it yet? Have you watched it yet? Why haven't you watched it? What, you're still watching that other programme? You've not watched Sons of Anarchy yet? Oh, you need to watch it. It's the best thing you're ever going to see. And yet not one person complained that I kept going on about it. I know there wasn't all these memes all of a sudden about how Sons of Anarchy fans are ramming this down people's throats. So why, when I get asked, as in somebody asks me what I've been up to, I don't offer the information for free. I just get asked what it is that I've done since I last spoke to that person, and I say, oh, well actually, I've decided to go vegan. It's amazing, you should try it. Do people then have such a reaction to it compared to when I was going on and on and on about the programme? Now, you've all seen it. Every single vegan watching this programme has seen exactly the same thing. So you've just said to somebody, oh, well, I've decided I'm going to go vegan, and you tell them why you've done it. And then as you're talking, you see them slowly glazing over and they stop listening, and you can see they're just waiting for you to finish. So they can give you their reasons as to why they're not vegan, make all the excuses under the sun just so they can get out there as quick as possible. So what is it about being vegan that makes people have these reactions? And yet when I'm far more insistent and far more forceful about something like watching a TV programme, they don't care. But when I just say that I've gone vegan because of this reason, why is it they find it so annoying and that they have to deal with it the way that they do? Well, let's look at the options. Is it option A, that people just don't like the thought of anyone wanting to save an animal or wanting to stop an animal being exploited, or they're not caring about the environmental damage that's caused by meat eating? I'm hoping it's not that. If that is true, that's horrific that people would even think that way. So I don't think that it's A. Or is it B, that they've looked into it really deeply already, and they've already looked into the science behind the dietary information, the science behind the environmental information, and actually they've come to a decision that it's all a fad, and that pretty soon we'll all realise that we've been running around telling everyone about a big lie. I don't think it's that either. And the reason I don't think it's that is because the reasons that people do come out with as to why they're not vegan or why they couldn't be vegan are ridiculous. And 99% of them have been proven beyond doubt that that's not actually true. Or is it C, that they simply don't understand the issues that vegans are trying to raise by living this lifestyle, that they suffer such cognitive dissonance between how they're thinking and what they're saying compared to how they're acting, and they don't see that it's such a hypocritical way of living that they just simply don't want to accept it. Now, C might sound a little bit over-exaggerated, but is it? Let's look into this. Historically, people have been through loads of times where they've refused to change despite the evidence that they're wrong, either scientifically or morally. So take, for example, slavery, racism, sexism, homophobia, to name some huge ones, all of which still continue today, despite the moral outrage that these things cause. And there's also other things such as the use of asbestos or smoking and loads of other things and chemicals that people have used over time where science has said that they were wrong, but we've continued until the human damage was unbearable. Now, I'm not comparing veganism to any of these topics at all. What I am trying to point out though is the similarity in mindset for people that refuse to change despite the scientific or social evidence that what they're doing is wrong. Now, do you disagree? Fine, disagree. But let's look at veganism in this light then, shall we? Right, would anybody out there in YouTube viewer land think that causing an animal to suffer is acceptable? Now, there may be some, a minority of contraries that don't deserve a mention, but I'll guess that 99% of you watching this wouldn't. So why do farm animals suffer in their billions then, just so people can get a particular taste? And that's all they get. There is no dietary need for anybody in a modern Western country to eat meat or animal products, and that's an unarguable fact. Now, why is that unarguable? Because you live in a Western country where food is plentiful. You can get every type of food that you require within a 5, 10, 15-minute drive probably from where you live. And even those that live out in the countryside can probably still get to a supermarket within a half hour's drive. And anything that you could sit and pretend would have to be getting from meat, even if there was something that can only be got from meat and without it humans would die, then we have vitamin supplements and mineral supplements that could provide everything that you would need. So eating meat in a modern Western country is not required, and that is an unarguable fact. So what is it that makes Mrs. Jones happy for a cow to be killed so she can have a roast dinner, and yet if the neighbour knocked on the door and said he'd just shot his cat so that he could eat it, she would be absolutely outraged? Now, I understand the pet argument, but across the world, pets and farm animals are interchangeable. But if I was to keep a pet as a cow, would Mrs. Jones then not eat a roast dinner? Of course not. She'd still eat it, and she would still expect an animal to die so that she could have that roast dinner. So is it because they don't think farmed animals suffer? Does being artificially inseminated, then having your young taken away that you've been made to be pregnant again, sound like suffering? The proven and documented awareness of the loss of their mother or young is clear to see. Any dairy herder will tell you how the mothers and calves will call for each other for days. Does being gassed to death sound like suffering? Now, a third of pigs in this country die that way. Does macerating live chicks sound like suffering? So this is how male chicks are killed in their thousands every single day. Does killing any animal in any way sound like suffering? Can we kill animals that show emotions or play or look after their young, cry out when in pain and so on, be killed in a humane way? Is any death humane? It's all there to see, and that's why more and more governments, more and more countries and more professional bodies are putting their voice behind going to a more plant-based diet. Even the meat industry itself knows the damage that's being caused. Look at all the attempts that they've made over time to stop plant-based diet becoming more mainstream, and the thing they've done to try and bury how good plant-based can be or exaggerating the benefits of eating the meat or dairy foods. So there is overwhelming evidence that a plant-based diet is better for the environment, and there's a mountain of evidence as to why the meat industry is not justified in a modern Western country like ours. Do you think it can be justified? No, and nor do I. And that's what makes a difference between a vegan mindset and a carnist mindset. Now remember, it's a choice. It's not a need, it's a choice. A meat eater chooses to eat meat. And I get it, meat tastes nice. However, since I went vegan, I've not once wished I hadn't. I've not once wished I could eat any meat. And I know I will never go back to eating meat. And if I had have known what I know now, back in the day, then I would have changed back then too. It's a choice, and it's a choice that I'm choosing not to make. I don't want to be someone who chooses for an animal to die or for an animal to suffer just so I can have a certain taste. I don't want to be someone who chooses for the environment to be damaged or for there to be food shortages or for there to be water scarcity just so I can eat something that my body isn't even designed to eat just because my brain likes the taste of it. So going back to the question I asked at the start of the video then, so why do people find vegans annoying? Well, it seems to be because we're morally better, we live a more compassionate life, and we're less hypocritical. But don't get me wrong, I understand that veganism and vegans are a minority for now. So that means that most of my friends and most of my family still eat meat, and I don't hold that against them. That's their choice to make. Now, I think it's this choice which is why people find vegans annoying. So when I get asked why did I choose to become vegan, the answers I give are along the lines of, well, I choose for an animal not to die so I can eat them, and I choose for an animal not to be exploited for my benefit, and I choose for my way of life to not impact on the world the way that meat eating does. So they think about that the same as I thought about that when I was a meat eater, and they realise that they are therefore choosing for animals to die so they can eat them. And they're choosing for an animal to be exploited so that they can have some benefit from their products. Or they're choosing for their behaviours to impact on the planet in a way that's going to affect it for them and their children. And that choice is uncomfortable. Now, they don't feel any different to how I felt when I first found out these things, but I chose to change my behaviour and change my diet to stop them things happening. And a meat eater chooses to carry on knowing what they're doing, and it makes them feel uncomfortable. And that is why people find vegans annoying. So that's the end of the video. I hope you liked it. If you did, remember to hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to us so you can get more of our content as it comes out. We also have a Facebook page and a Twitter page, so it'd be great if I could see you all on there too. Thanks for watching. See you soon.